Hello everybody, my name is Aceface. Today I wanted to show you how I organize my overview, and this is something I thought that is very important to have a good understanding on as a new player, because it can get really confusing with like all your overviews all over the place. People call, Eve Online spreadsheet simulator. I personally don't think it looks like a spreadsheet simulator, but right now maybe some people will think it looks like a spreadsheet simulator, but I feel like I've reduced the amount of clutter in my overview to make it so that I've got a reasonable amount of things. I've seen people with way more disorganized overviews that just have so much stuff you can't even see your ship. I think it's important to be able to see your ship, guys, because this game looks so amazing. And if you can't see your ship, you just got like these overviews all over the place, then you really it's just a mess, and it takes away from the experience, in my opinion. So one thing I wanted to show you how I organize my overview, and I also want to premise that I mostly do activities in high sec. Occasionally I go to low sec and null sec, just maybe do a little of occasional small PvP, maybe some exploration, and I do a lot of abyss stuff. So that's just a premise, guys. Or your overview layout depends a lot on what your activities are, and the thing that is mainly changing a lot is your D-scan and your overview tabs. But in general, this seems to work for me in almost all activities. So I have been doing other activities, just not just high sec stuff, but also low sec and null sec stuff. So this does work for me for pretty much everything. So I've got my chat here, as you can see here. I've just got my different chat windows here, and this helps a lot by just keeping an eye on just local. And also, if you're in null sec, you'll probably want to like switch out the local here. But the reason is because I'm in high sec, so I don't have to worry about people in local. So I keep it as a separate tab here. Otherwise, you would probably want to have your local just popped out here, so you always have an eye on it, unless you want to not be able to have an eye on other tabs, so you would have local up all the time. So that's something I actually do. Since I don't play a lot with other people. I do sometimes play with people, but I'm pretty solo in terms of my gameplay experience. So even if I am in low sec, I don't pull it out, because I'll just keep my local tab over and over here. And also something is that when I have my tabs, you'll see that the default overview, they have a little bit of distance between here. Like they'll have it'll be like this, kind of like there'll be a little bit of a distance. And honestly, I think it looks much better when you have everything perfectly like touching each other like this, and also you save a lot of space, so I think that's a really good thing. Then I got my D-scan over here, and this kind of depends. Like for example, if I'm in high sec, I'll probably just have it like really small here. But if I'm in like wormholes, null sec, low sec, I'll have it D-scan really big, because you always want to keep an eye on this. There's not really much use for D-scan high sec unless you're like hunting Triglavians, for example, or you specifically want to hunt someone in high sec. And then I got my overview over here, and I've always got this general tab. This general tab is basically for my own activities. So this is really all up to you. Like for example, say you're doing a lot of PvP, you're probably going to want to remove most of these these extra things that don't really matter, these Sinosaural things, and you want to have like all ships on the general tab. But for me, I have most things that like I would probably warp to. So for example, I have all structures here, because often I warp to structures, to repair stuff. I make sure that if you can see in overview settings, I have it so that like all like NPCs are selected, because I do a lot of PvE stuff, so invading precursor entities, abyssal drone entities, space, etc. These kind of things. And you can also turn off things that you don't need. Like for example, you can see there, since I am doing a lot of high sec stuff, I turn off the abyssal traces, because in Jita especially, I spend a lot of time in Jita, these guys are spammed everywhere. Like there's lots of people running abyssal traces, so they'll just clutter up the overview. So like if there's something that you don't use a lot, just right click, remove it from overview, and you can always re-add it by going to overview settings and just like typing it in and just reticking it, because you can also retick it. That's another way, or you can just remove it like this. And then I got like a few other ones. There's also one tab I think is really useful in general for everyone, is that you have the Rex tab, because this could be useful if you're like really looting a lot of stuff. You just want to have all the Rex consistent in one place. Then I also got large collidable objects in one place. You can see here LCOs, I've just called it this, large collidable object. These can be useful in like missions, because these are often used as mission objectives. For example, there's like a mission where you need to rescue some slaves from a slave pen, and this will not, if this large collidable object is not ticked on this, then you won't be able to like see it. It will be very difficult to see it. So if you have this, then you'll be able to see it very easily. And then we got like just a drones tab. This could also be useful if you want just to keep an eye on drones, because drones can really clutter up your overview. So I sometimes have it in a separate tab, but I don't really use that so often. And then this is also something I really think is important to have up here, is the people and places. This is a really useful tab right here, because the people and places is, in my opinion, is one of the things I use the most. It's mainly because of the locations tab, because I can just keep all my bookmarks here and just easily set destination to a certain place. It's really useful. Keep your peoples and places. I'd recommend you keep your peoples and places tab a lot, because I use that a lot, and I'm assuming pretty much everyone uses this a lot. You can just like save bookmarks and just warp to or set destination to them. And it's also really useful because you can got agents, and especially the contacts, you can do all your buddy lists and all that kind of stuff. That's really useful. And then I've got this tab over here, and this is 2 actually. I got 2 in 1 because I got my drones here, and and then I have my probe scan over here, and I find that often I don't use these at the same time. Like often I'll warp to them and then use my drones. I won't there's no reason for me to keep this open up at the same time as one of the drones, because if I've got my drones tab up, I'm probably in combat, and if I'm in combat, I usually do not want to warp to a different site unless I've destroyed everything, which I just click here. So that's why I keep these guys separate on the same spot, because they don't need to. If I could have it like this, but then it'll just keep up so much space, and I never really need to use it at the same time. So I'll just keep it here, so that when I'm not in combat, I can just warp to a new site. For example, here I was just running emerging conduits. I'm actually waiting for the next site to spawn, but I thought I'd just explain this to you guys in the meantime. So you can see there's no emerging conduit here, but when it spawns, I would warp to it, and you can see it just spawned right there. Funny how I'm just talking about that. So I just warp to it right there, and obviously I'm not going to have my drones up when this is going on. So this is something you have to also think about, guys. Think about things that you do not use at the same time, and it's good that you can combine them in tabs. Like you combine them here. You combine things that you're like a polar opposites that you don't use at the same time. This is really good to save space, and that's something that is really important in my opinion, just to improve the general experience of gaming EVE Online. And using this overview tab, I then just get a really nice space to have modules. I really think it's important to have a large space for modules. You want to keep an eye on your modules. I like to organize them like this, and it's just in general, I think do not like to have this cluttered, because in stressful situations it is important to have an organized amount of modules, and I think that is very important because you do not want to make mistakes in that regard. In the Abyss, I have made mistakes, and that is due to, for example, forgetting to turn off or overheat on something, and that can always be, the risk for that can be reduced by having a more organized module layout, so that you have a good idea of where to click, where it is, etc. And then I've got this little notification feed here, which I just keep in the corner, just so it looks good. It's kind of weird how it doesn't snap to things really, but I've got that here. So that's my overview, guys. Hope you learned something new, and hope this helped you if you've been having trouble organizing your overview. If you did, or if you found this video enjoyable, please leave a like and subscribe. I'll catch you guys later.